Why Buddhism is not a religion. I know that Buddhism is classified as a religion, but having studied and practiced it for over 40 years, I'm here to say that, at least in my opinion, it's not. I was raised Catholic, and that, my friends, is a religion. Buddhism acknowledges, no higher power than our own mind. It has no God, no deity up there that I have to please, or otherwise I suffer the consequences. Conversely, there is no one that can save me other than my own efforts. That's the essence of Buddhism. It's all up to me. Buddha was not a god and never became a god. He died like we all will, and was quick to point out that he is no different than the rest of us, from you and me. In fact, his whole point is that we all have Buddha nature. I mean, even worms do. Buddhism also has no creation myth. It's not concerned about finding a beginning or an end to anything but suffering and ignorance. There's no starting point or ending point to cyclic existence, to this world that we live in. Cycles, by definition, they're circles. They have no beginning and no end. Or perhaps another way to say this is that any point in a cycle or a circle can be used as the beginning or the end. There's no time of a first creation, and there was no creator. Buddhism is concerned only that I realize the true nature of what is, the true nature of my own mind. It does not concern itself with where I first came from, or when, or where I'm going. Instead, it's concerned only with waking up from this, what Buddhists call, this dream of cyclic existence, this life, and it recognizes the endless cycles of existence, the life that we're living, as beginningless and endless. Just as in our own dreams while sleeping, we sometimes dream that we're getting up to have a drink of water or go to the bathroom, but we don't actually manage to wake up and do it. So the Buddha pointed out that waking life, the life that we're all living, itself is exactly like a dream, one that we can wake up from. To the Buddha, our whole take on this whole world must be seen as a very real illusion, the answer to which can only be found by each one of us realizing the true nature of our own mind for ourselves. Buddha can't just somehow do it for us. We each have to do it ourselves. What the Buddha did do was to point out a method or way for me, whenever I managed to get around to it, to become more aware and to just wake up myself. In fact, the word Buddha in Sanskrit simply means awakened, or maybe the awakened one. And the teachings that the historical Buddha left are called the Dharma, which is simply the method or the path to awaken, and nothing more. And that's what the Buddha taught. The Dharma is basically a 12-step program to train the mind from the hangovers of this current existence, for us just to wake up. Now, this is only me speaking, but to my mind, what the Dharma of the Buddha lays out is a totally scientific way to train the mind. Only modern science has not quite gotten there itself yet. Scientists, too, need mind training. I'm not religious by any definition of the word. I don't worship anything, and I don't go to church other than to the church of the natural world, nature. I don't believe in a God up there somehow helping or watching over me. Whatever I am, whatever that is, I'm an equal part of it. an equal part of what this is all about, and that's all I ask, that Buddhism treat me as a co-partner or something like that, and it does. I know that in this life I'm going to have to help myself. The Buddha, even if he were here in this room, could not simply reach out and touch me on the forehead and somehow enlighten me. I mean, the whole point of Buddhism, that it is a method that we each have to do for ourselves. It's interactive. We must eventually wake ourselves up, and what the Buddha did was to point out just how we can do this. But to repeat, only we can do it. I'm kind of embarrassed when people treat Buddhism as if it were somehow holy or otherworldly and miraculous, making it simply a question of faith. But Buddhism is not about faith. The miracle is that the Dharma works, and that's enough. I have faith in the methods of the Dharma, and that's all. I was raised as a naturalist, and I know nature and nature's laws quite well. Buddhism is the only spiritual method that I've found that is congruent with natural law, with the facts of science, and with nature. This is why I'm surprised that there aren't more scientists that are Buddhists. In fact, in Tibetan Buddhism, they have a term called, quote, the Lama of Appearances, end quote, that states that Mother Nature herself is exactly like a guru and teaches the same Dharma as a high human Lama, like the Dalai Lama. Now that is what I call congruency. And in my opinion, the Buddhists are probably the finest psychologists in this world. Yes, I know that there are Buddhists, like all spiritual disciplines, that over-moralize, that make everything into rules and taboos, the fire and brimstone of the Old Testament. If you just follow the simple meditation that Buddha indicated, that's all that has to be done. Organized anything is asking for trouble, and spiritual organizations and religions are certainly no exception. Keep it local and keep it small. So I'm not going to blather on much longer, but please note my objection to classifying what is simply a practical method to become more aware and to wake up, Buddhism, as if it were a full-blown religion like Judaism or Islam or Christianity and so on. I have nothing against religions, and I appreciate a sincere religious person whenever I get to meet them. I'm not an atheist or not even an agnostic. I am spiritual at heart, but in the following fashion. The word religion comes from the Latin word religare, which means to bind back or to tie down. In other words, religion of any kind is concerned with the things that last, especially the things that last longest. In that case, I can accept the Dharma as being religious because the Dharma points out that what really lasts, and is genuine, is to know the true nature of the mind. The true nature of the mind is what lasts. So, if our concern is to find something lasting or true in this life, something to set our sails by, then we all must be religious at one time or another. When the shit hits the fan, we all seek for solid ground to stand on. When something bad happens, we kind of all get religious when something happens. Religion is about the things that last longest when all else fades in importance. This occurs for each of us when suddenly something untoward happens in our life, like when a parent or a loved one dies. Our day-to-day stuff just kind of fades fast in importance. Whenever those times come around, and even the grittiest of us finds ourselves reaching for something more lasting that we can stand or count on. Anyway, that is all the religion I know. The things that I can count on being there for me when all else fails. That's as close as I get to religion, and the Dharma has yet to fail me. Does that make me religious? I don't know. That being said, I am very devoted to the Dharma teachers and the lamas that I've met in this life. I owe them an immense debt of gratitude for pointing out in introducing me to the Dharma.